There's been a lot going on, Joe, this week, hasn't there? Absolutely loads going on in the Europa League, the Champions League, the Premier League. So we thought it was time to bring out the true or false Saturday social traditional paddles.
Yes.
For a bit of debate. The rules are fairly simple, aren't they?
Yeah, very simple. We're going to read out a number of different statements. We've got everything from Arsenal to Brighton to Ange Postecoglou to Mo Salah's contract coming up. The guy's going to tell us whether they agree or disagree with it, basically. And then hopefully a little bit of a debate.
That's what we want.
First up then, we're going to start with Arsenal because midweek against Sporting, you know, what a result that was. Not an easy place to go, is it, Boo? Going all the way to Sporting?
Yeah.
Slightly different without Ruben Amorim there. But 5-1 winners against Sporting CP in Lisbon. So the first one we're going for is true or false. Ooh. Arsenal will win the Champions League this season.
Booby, you were shaking your head in anger
writes
at
his
that
questions,
graphic.
Smithy.
Sorry?
Well, lots are saying they will.
It wasn't
Smithy?
me. It was our producer who's an Arsenal fan.
Honestly,
is it?
As a football fan, you think Arsenal will win the Champions League this season?
I think they've got a good chance of it. There are a couple of weaker sides in there, and that makes them climb the table a little bit.
Go on,
who's ahead of them?
Still shaking your head.
I still think City have got the experience of winning it. I'm not saying we're going to win it, of course not. We're ahead of Arsenal, definitely.
Are you?
I'd put a side like Inter Milan who got to the final a couple of years ago. I'd look at, obviously, Real Madrid. You guys.
You think Arsenal would not beat Real Madrid this season?
No, I think Real Madrid would beat them in the knockout stage of the Champions League, 100%. The knockout stages aren't now, Loz. They're in 3 months' time.
No, I know that.
And Real Madrid will improve, and there'll be players that come back from injury.
I know that.
There's no... Arsenal are serial bottlers in the Champions League. They are the biggest bottlers from England. They've never won the Champions League.
Sure. I think the main aspect here is... I'm not saying the league's away from them, but it's obviously much more difficult at this point. Maybe that means they put more eggs into that basket. And I've got to admit, since Odegaard came back, they have looked very different. I still think Arsenal have got their eyes on a Champions League, and I think
this is will win the Champions League. So you think they will win the Champions League this year?
Yeah, why not? I think it's a bit of fun.
They've got their eyes on I've got my eyes on Margot Robbie. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, it's never happening, is it?
Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Buvey. There are 30 men ahead of you.
Rochdale want
to win the Champions League.
All right.
Baby.
I was really angry with that one.
Good.
It brings us nicely on to the next one, because Loz, I don't know if you've seen the question or he's just an expert director / producer, but we are talking about Martin Odegaard.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise that.
Thank you for bringing that up. The next one is true or false. Odegaard is Arsenal's most important player. And total agreement. Let's come to you first, Loz.
Wow.
So I think he's the most important player. I don't think that means that he is the best player in the squad, but I think he's really important in the shape of the midfield that they play. So tactically, there is something there. I think in the sense that the role that he plays is irreplaceable with the personnel they currently have and the shape they currently have. That's what makes him important. It doesn't mean that he's the best player in the team, even though I do think he's a very good player. It doesn't mean that he's, therefore, no other player could play that role. But look at them this season and look at the results with and without him. It's that simple.
Why is he more important than Saka?
Well, they're both equally as important. I'm not trying to... that's not a cop-out. But ultimately, when he's come back, they've put, 3 past Nottingham Forest, 5 past Sporting Lisbon. Arsenal won the stiffest, driest sides I've ever seen in my life without Odegaard. Seriously, he comes back and he makes everyone better. Everyone's playing, Brazilian football. It's like, it's like prime Brazil at Arsenal at the moment, and they're unbelievable. So when I slag them off like the Champions League, that's a different level. But they're still a major force in the Premier League.
Don't slag him off.
Stays fit.
I do. I've got to admit, the quote from Saka was the thing that kind of pushed me over the edge here. He said it's incredible to have him back. The movement, the changes in shape, all those kind of things. It does make a big difference.
I think there's no doubt about that. But what I will say is that we haven't really seen Arsenal without Saka. He's so consistently fit. He plays so many minutes. He takes, dead balls, which is an absolutely crucial element to Arsenal's game. He scores so many of their goals that I think if you took Saka out, it would be... I'm going to say worse than taking Odegaard out that side.
Odegaard's their captain as well, though. I think they've got to put some holistic weight on that as well.
Yeah, I just think he's become underrated, Saka, at this stage. People actually are underrating how good he is.
Phenomenal player. They're both great players. I think, to Loz's point, though, the biggest impact if you took anyone out, you look at the 2 centre-backs, that they've got reinforcements now in that area.
Who's the reinforcement for Saka?
They've got reinforcements in a lot of areas. I think Odegaard is the biggest position where if you take him out, you notice it. They haven't got anyone
who comes in if Saka?
They've got more wingers, though. Trossard can maybe play there, Martinelli.
Gabriel Jesus might go in there.
They've got other options there.
I think they'd adapt in a slightly better way.
67% win ratio with Odegaard, 56.2 without him.
That's over 10%, Joe. Come on.
OK, fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue anymore. Should we go to the next one? Because Smithy wanted this one in there, didn't you?
Did you?
Fair enough. Let's get the Spurs-related.
Tottenham-related one in there. True or false? I think this is difficult as well. Ange Postecoglou is underrated. I think this splits even Tottenham fans.
Well, it split the guests.
Why so negative?
Well,
is that because they beat 4-0?
overrated or under. He's just adequately
Right.
rated. I mean, he won a league title at Celtic, did okay in Australia in the Australian league. He's done absolutely nothing so far at Spurs. What do you want me to say about him?
Yeah, sorry. Just remember what he did. What did he do last weekend?
They won 4-0 at Man
Sorry,
City.
yeah,
You get a trophy for that. They're still below Man
A
City.
month after we knocked them out of the League Cup.
Oh, right. Did you also do that as well? Yeah. I'd say that makes him slightly
Still
underrated.
won a trophy under him. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But to be fair,
Do they have to?
he's a solid manager.
Do they
He's
have
probably
to
the
win a
8th
trophy?
best manager in the league. That's about where he is.
8th best manager in the league.
He's not better than Unai Emery. He's not better than I'd take Enzo Maresca. I'd take Arteta. I'd take Arne Slot. I'd take loads of managers over him.
You know what I would say? I think his football is slightly underrated. I think it's quite joyful when it gets to its very best. And I really enjoy watching Spurs at the moment. I will admit I went to the North London derby earlier this season and I thought he didn't quite play the game he was meant to play there. He should have put Arsenal to the sword a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the football is still really good. And, you know, if you can take City apart 4-0, then well done to you, mate.
I think
Everyone is, though.
I think a lot of Spurs fans would say it's an enjoyable watch compared to what we've had previously. Is what one thing you would say. Yes, I know what you're saying. It's very hard to know what's going to happen. I mean, to score 4 against West Ham and 4 against City and lose to Ipswich and Palace, the results are very inconsistent. But there is a brand of football he's playing that I think is very enjoyable to watch. And I do think. Well, it does.
All of your underlying numbers, all of like your actual data is saying that you're a better side this year than last year. I think that they've improved step on step. Yes, they're a little bit inconsistent, but you cannot deny that if you're not going to win every trophy like a City or Liverpool, you want to be the most entertaining you can be. You want to be a fun team that scores goals and is exciting to watch. That's exactly what Tottenham are.
It's not fun when they're getting smashed up by Ipswich Town, is it?
I agree.
It
was fun when they're smashing you up.
Every game Spurs have won, they've won comfortably. They've got the second highest goal difference. Like the Spurs are actually playing very good football. We've just had a few results which haven't been great. So I think I'm all aboard the Ange hype train.
You could also make the argument that the games where you have dipped, I think you've seen individual performances dip rather than the system. But even then, maybe he's got a motivate.
They tried Mourinho. They tried Conte. These guys who are proven winners of trophies
He's a good
over
manager.
years.
It's just is he underrated or over? He's a good manager. He's not a great manager. He's not underrated. I don't think he's overrated.
Okay,
the Spurs element in there, I think, is underrated as well because look what Conte's doing with Napoli now.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, next one. Sticking with and speaking of gaffers, that is easy for me to say. Another top manager, by the way, Fabian Hürzeler. Brian, for context, second in the league. He's the youngest manager in the Premier League in his first Premier League season, second in the league. So we're asking, is he the manager of the season so far? I'm glad we're giving him some props. You're both going false quite quickly, Loz, with that.
Well, only because I think there's someone just slightly ahead of him.
I know you're going to say Arne Slot.
Right. Good. OK, you took the cues. It's hard to put anyone ahead of Arne considering what his win ratio is and what he's done with the team. It doesn't mean he's not a great manager. Maybe jealousy of how old he is and what he's achieved is also playing into this a little bit, right, Buvey?
Yeah, well, I'm younger than Hurts, so you're a lot older than Hurts.
A lot older, yeah.
But Hurts is
Do we
incredible.
look older or younger?
Yeah,
That's the real
well, it doesn't matter. Hurts is a fantastic manager, and Brighton have been absolutely electric. But what Liverpool are doing, if they win the title this season, it's one of the most impressive wins ever because it's his first season. Liverpool spent less money than Burnham City, who are in League One in the summer. That's incredible. And if he wins the league title, of course he's above Hurtzler.
Yeah, no doubt for me.
It's a good debate.
Next one, talking about league titles. This is splitting some fans online, I think. True or false? Chelsea are in the title race. Despite the fact they're ahead of Arsenal, and you would say that Arsenal are in the title race still?
Yeah, but they've got a borderline world-class keeper, and they've got the spine where they came close last season, the season before. If Chelsea won the title this season, I would have never seen it in my adult life, a keeper that bad. With all due respect to Sanchez, that bad winning the league title, it's never been seen before. It's never been seen before. Every title winning side have had a fantastic keeper.
That bad?
Yeah, he's not a top 10 keeper. With all due respect, he wouldn't start for anyone in the top 10. He wouldn't start for Villa. He wouldn't start for Brighton. He wouldn't start for anyone in the top 10 I can think of. I can't believe he's starting for Chelsea. They got 7 keepers. Do you know, I can't believe it. He's nowhere near good enough. He's nowhere near. And that's with all due respect to him. I think he's a solid Premier League keeper. Title-winning keeper, no way.
I'm not going to base my argument on the goalkeeper. I think it's probably just more the overall system that they play at the moment. I do think they're still getting used to it, but they're getting used to, say, the Liverpool game. That was a game where you would have thought, right, the system here, what's it going to do? What's the maximum it can reach? And I think they slightly underperform in those scenarios. That's where I think the winning of the title is the difference. Doesn't mean they're not a good team. It just means that I don't think they've they've not got the edge that we're looking for someone to win a Premier League title. I think there are teams with more edge.
OK, let's move on to the next. We're going to spend a bit of time on this one because this has been a huge story this week. True or false, Mo Salah will leave Liverpool in the summer. For a bit of context, we know Mo Salah's contract is up in the summer. Salah said midweek, I'm probably more out than in next summer. Jamie Carragher talking about it on Monday Night Football, wasn't saying that he was disappointed with those comments. We heard from Arne Slot as well, saying that he thought he was more in. So it's got a lot of people talking. What do you think? True or false? You're going true. He will leave.
My issue, I don't think he should leave. If I was a Liverpool fan, of course, I don't want him to leave. He needs to be on a 2-year, 3-year contract and give him anything that he wants, of course. But I look at the model of Liverpool, FSG, a little bit moneyball. They let Mane go. They've let a couple of players go. They're not going to offer him a 3-year contract, are they? They're just not, at the rate that he wants, probably from the Saudi Arabian kind of money. So I just don't see how they keep him on the deal that he wants, and I think they'll get to a weird stage. It'll be too late in the market, and he'll just go somewhere else.
Loz has gone true.
No, I've gone exactly.
Get off the fence.
Off the fence. False.
Just for interest, right?
I think you're clearly worried because you had it on the fence.
Well, it's just that I don't know, and I don't want to on national television on a huge show like Saturday Social say something really silly. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it be? No, but the point is, right, with this, the reason I would think it is false, earlier on in the season, they said, it looks as if he is leaving, and he was sort of making all those noises. Suddenly we're talking about contract negotiations. Why talk about contract negotiations if you think you're going to leave?
Do you think that interview was a negotiating tactic?
100%. There is no other time. He's only ever given one other outside of stadium interview, and that was also in a similar context. He marched straight over to the journalist that he wanted to speak to. He asked him, have you got 2 minutes? And during that interview, literally Virgil van Dijk wanders down in the background with a huge smirk on his face and he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think Jamie Carragher's take was slightly cold in that sense, him saying, it's derailed things. Well, everyone in the dressing room already knows it. So all the people that are going to be shocked by this news have probably already had the conversation in private and know what their mate wants, knows what his plan is.
Do you think he's the most important contract yet done at Liverpool?
There's a few, isn't it?
It's interesting because I think Liverpool will want to do his contract last because I think it will be potentially the largest. So if you do it first and then you have Van Dijk and Trent walking in, they go, well, that guy's got all that. Why haven't we? Yeah. So I think that's why their stalling is happening.
Let's talk about them as a three, because I think that it is right to do that. Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah all out of contract this summer. Which of the three, if all of them or none of them, do you expect to stay, and who do you expect might leave or be the most likely to leave?
I could probably grade it as who's closest to the door. I think Virgil's closest to staying right now. There's a lot of talk in the Liverpool fan ITKs about him already being very close to a contract. I think Mo's second, and then it feels to a lot of people like Trent is third. I think it depends on who you speak to that's close to Trent as to whether he's in or out. There are some people who think he's off to Madrid, and a lot of people who wouldn't be all that upset, and a few people who think the opposite and are devastated because he's a generational Liverpool player.
Booth, who do you think is the most important to keep?
It has to be Salah because goals are hard to come by. I think they've got the right back situation with Conor Bradley. I think he could honestly come in and there wouldn't be a drop off.
The age profile of Trent, though.
Yeah, but I'm just a football fan. I'm not a business guy, and maybe one of the owners at Liverpool look at it from a business perspective, and that's fair enough. That's why they're millionaires, and I'm not. But the big thing is, if Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent all stay for the next couple of years, they could be back-to-back Premier League title winners. They could be a Champions League. That's how good they are. They're still in form. So we're not talking about old players over the hill. This is a sporting decision. Liverpool have got a title to win now. They could also win the Champions League. They're top of the Champions League by a country mile, aren't they? And next season it could be a very, very similar story if you keep all three.
Brings us nicely on to the next one, doesn't it?
Yep. Next up, it is about Liverpool, and it's true or false. Liverpool are the best team in the world right now.
Liverpool fan Loz goes false.
I think Barcelona are looking really good.
I totally agree.
Yeah, Barcelona look incredible. And obviously it's fine margins, but I look forward to being able to watch Barcelona a couple of times a week. Obviously, I really enjoy watching Liverpool, but I'm trying to be a bit more realistic as Liverpool homer, shall we call them. I just think Barcelona looks so compelling. I think they're slightly further ahead in their development of the team.
Liverpool at the top of the Champions League group that Barcelona are in, though.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, that's only reflective of
the games
some.
Yeah,
exactly.
Course,
and obviously we play Real Madrid and some real quality sides. I also think this is the beginning of what Slot is capable of. And if you're scared of him now, imagine what you'll be able to do in a year with Slot. I think in a year it'll be like that. But right now, I think...
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because I think you think in the summer, we talk about the job Slot's done, which is obviously magnificent and not taking anything away from him. The job Flick has done at Barcelona in a situation that was a shambles in the summer. Yeah, players asking for massive money on massive money. The narrative was completely that Real Madrid are going to sail away with every title. Mbappe's come through the door. Barca are going to have a terribly dry spell. They have been unplayable. Yeah,
Rafinha's the big one. I really didn't see it when he went to Barcelona, obviously from Leeds United. I didn't see it in terms of being a Barcelona player. He's come on leaps and bounds, and obviously Yamal is such a special talent. It's outrageous. But honestly, hand on heart, I think if Liverpool played Barcelona across 2 legs tomorrow, they'd beat them 4-5-0, honestly, across 2 legs on aggregate.
Think that, Booth? Honestly,
we've smashed them up.
We've seen Liverpool, we've seen Barca, hammer Madrid, we've seen Barca, hammer Bayern. Like, they are good in big games. They've got experienced, quality players.
I do agree with that. I think over 2 legs in the Champions League, we've seen. I think Liverpool would edge Barcelona. I know Barcelona have been. No, I don't think before. No, right. I do think you've seen that historically with Liverpool in big games, in Champions League, in knockout games. I think over 2 legs currently,
really close.
I would favour Liverpool just, but I think great shouts to bring Barca and Rafinha as well.
Lewandowski is the top scorer in Europe's top 5 leagues, isn't he?
I think we can get to one more.
Okay.
I'm going to get your take on this one because again, big talking point about Ruben Amorim, isn't it? Coming into Man United. True or false, he will get United into the top 6. Another disagreement. Buvey, you're shaking your head. Well, why false for you?
They're currently 12th.
Okay.
They came 8th last season. They've sacked their manager. They've got a load of players that can't even take their gloves off in a respectful manner, with all due respect. They've got a lot of players low on confidence. They've got Johnny Evans at the back. Why are they the 6th best side in the Premier League? Why? How are they going to get there? How?
You don't see any improvement?
Slight improvement. Bodo Glimt was a great result in the Europa League. I guess that was all right. He'll improve things, but he came 8th last season with this side. Why 6th?
And you disagree, Loz?
Yeah, I think Amorim's a real top-class manager, and I think you can already see the change in approach for a lot of those players. They're seeing a refreshing approach from the coaching standpoint. I think a lot of people were very frustrated with what was going on with Erik ten Hag, whether that was his fault or whatever, it doesn't really matter now, he's gone. And I think Ruben Amorim is the right profile of manager for Manchester United. He's saying all the right things, I think he's doing all the right things, and already you can see even the small tweaks that he's making and the small adjustments, when they get used to his pressing, when they get used to where the players need to be, I think they're going to be ticking.
But who are they replacing the top 6? Because Chelsea are there, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Brighton, Villa, Newcastle. I mean, there's some great sides. Spurs,
it's really difficult. And I think it is going to take some time
to use that system. I love that about Amorim. It's so honest in his. I love hearing
I love it.
Pre-match, post-match, very honest. So enjoyed that, lads.